Behold! Energy Conversion, a Warframe mod that gives you a buff whenever you pick up an energy orb. Casting an ability with this buff will consume it, and give that ability 50% more strength. This buff doesn't stack, you can only carry one charge, and it's represented by a light blue fruit snack thing that orbits your frame. You can't recolor the fruit snack. Since you get the strength for as long as your ability can last, energy conversion tends to be stronger on channeled abilities and weaker on more spammy abilities. So it's really good, for example, on exalted weapons, especially since you can use instant swapping to put them away temporarily while saving the strength. So all you need to do is, beginning of your mission, grab an energy orb, use, let's say Exalted Blade, and then you don't even have to keep using it. You don't even have to set it up again if you want to use another weapon. You can just use instant swapping and get your gun and do your gun things, and then go back to your Exalted Blade, and you don't even have to set that up a lot. So that's very easy. That's a case where it basically is just like having a 50% strength mod. It requires essentially no micromanagement. It's very easy to maintain most of those abilities for a whole mission if you're planning for it. So that's easy. That's a pretty basic version. You can use that with other effects that last for as long as that ability lasts, like Growing Power and Pax Bolt, to snapshot, it's called, very large amounts of strength without using much space in your builds or facing corrupted mod trade-offs. So that's fairly powerful. There are some more spammy abilities that might work well with energy conversion too, though. Those that make energy orbs themselves, or which make more loot, I guess Orge's Atlas comes to mind. You can hit many enemies with one cast of Petrify, and you're likely to get another energy orb from killing those enemies and doubling the loot. Additionally, Petrify builds tend to be a little bit energy hungry anyway, so since you're strapped for space, it's nice not to have to suffer the corrupted mod drawback trade-off, which is pretty strong. And again, you're not likely to be casting Atlas's Petrify too much if you're low on energy, so that's decent. But of course, you can always just throw it into a build as well if you're comfortable with a lot of micromanagement. Which brings us to the other side of energy conversion, which is the fact that it doesn't always give you ability strength. That can be an advantage. So normally, the goal with this mod is to use it as a strength mod. It's just got a condition, right? But you can also take advantage of the fact that it doesn't always give you the strength. For example, you could make a Nova build that combines Speed Nova with Slowva. So normally for Speedva, you need negative strength, which means you couldn't just run a 50% strength mod. It wouldn't be Slowva. It wouldn't be Speedva. It would be Slowva. But with this mod, you can potentially make a build that runs, let's say, overextended to get a bunch of negative strength. So now you're Slowva. And then you could run energy conversion and, let's say Growing Power and Pax Bolt. And then when you want to, you can get 100% more strength and just become a Slowva instead whenever you choose. Now that requires a lot of micromanagement, but it still allows you to combine two entire builds, which is potent, and doesn't take a lot of space on the build. It's still fairly space friendly. So if you have a bunch of other stuff you want to do, this is sometimes a package you can kind of slip in there. Again, sometimes when you buildcraft that way, you end up with these builds that are very theoretically powerful, like they can do a lot of things, but they're just impossible to play in practice. So I do think that's something to keep in mind, exactly how well will you be able to do that whenever you want. So we were just talking about energy conversion, Pax Bolt, and Growing Power. So when you want to use your slow, right, you need to use, whatever cape gun you have to kill an enemy with a headshot for Pax Bolt. That will probably activate Growing Power, and then you need an energy orb. So it's not too bad, but it's something that you need to be mindful of. And if you don't do it right, then you don't get the effect. So, that means, yes, you're Speedva and Slowva, but your slow ability is locked behind a couple of conditions. So it is a trade-off. It's something to keep in mind, which is pretty interesting. So if you're into that, energy conversion is a mod that can be pretty fun. Energy conversion also contributes to the highest possible strength, of course. So occasionally it will allow you to do things that you couldn't easily do without it, but most of the time it's not going to make or break a build in that way. It's generally more of a perk for builds or entire frames that happen to be able to use it effectively or in many ways. It's usually not a mod that you value because it gives you even more strength, as much as that it gives you strength with no consequences or not consequences you're worried about, and or in a different way, whenever you want. You don't have to get the strength all the time. So overall, a versatile, strange mod. That's energy conversion. I've been Zandy, and you've been tuned to the ModCast.